live in the suburbs, and Dave needs the car every day for business. When he was gone, I was practically a prisoner in my own home. I couldn't get out to see my friends, couldn't take part in PTA activities. I couldn't even shop when I wanted to.
Whenever people hear traditional rules, they imagine control or limitation. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about function. What patterns tend to produce stability, competence, and secure children? I know this is a channel about strength and self-improvement, and you might wonder why I'm stepping into this subject, but the way responsibilities are organised inside a family has enormous impact on stability, stress, and emotional regulation. When people understand what they're carrying, and when their roles are clear rather than constantly negotiated, anxiety drops and cooperation improves. Structure reduces friction. So I got a few negative comments on a short I put up the other day, and that short was in regards to fatherhood and traditional gender roles. I know, in this climate, a very touchy subject. Now, I don't really give a shit about negative comments. In fact, I would encourage it. It ups my algorithm. But I can't help but notice the majority of people that have strong opinions on these type of matters are usually people that are not in the business or game of being a parent in the first place. They have a lot to say about how children should be raised, but they're not parents themselves. Now, you could have, very well, a child's learning degree under your belt. You could be like Miss Rachel. However, regardless of all that, the best people to tell you how to raise children are the parents, are the ones that have done the experiment and done the actual in-hand field, practical use, day in, day out, and have created children that have produced success. You see, no matter the qualification, I am more qualified in rearing my children because I've done it 3 times. I'm currently in the progress of raising small children. Oh, and by the way, my children do just fine. They're very resilient. They don't need screens everywhere they go. They thrive, make friends very easy. They can hike up mountains. In fact, they were hiking up mountains since they were 2 and 3 years of age. So yes, my children are very well put together. But anyway, back to the video. You see, across most of history, roles developed around tendencies. Not because people were forced into them, but because certain responsibilities aligned with certain strengths more often than not. Now, there's a key word here, tendencies. Not absolutes, tendencies. Of course, in any discussion, in any debate, you could point to an outlier. You could look at a woman and say, well, that woman biologically cannot have kids, so therefore not all women can have kids. Yes, but women are in the nature to have kids. You could look at a man with 1 leg and say, oh, all men have 1 leg. No, that is an outlier. That is a stupid way to debate and a stupid way to frame your argument. We could play that game through and through until the cows come home. It gets us nowhere. But on average, people have tendencies to drift and align themselves in certain ways. And the reason why it wasn't socially constructed is because in most hunter-gatherer societies, from all of mankind in history, women have aligned themselves around child raising and the men have aligned themselves around protection rules. There was no secret cabal, there was no some sort of social hierarchy that was putting the foot down into women and it forced them into certain roles many years back during caveman or hunting and gathering era. Quickly, humans realized and found out that each sex has unique qualities. Now, you might ask, what does a man bring at his best? At their best, men tend to specialize in protection, provision, boundary setting, operating under external pressures. They orient outward towards threat and burden. This cannot be debated. An example of this is a man's role in the house. When it comes to protecting his family from an outside force into the house, it will be the man's job to do that. If the masked men come in at night, it's the man's job to do that. Why? Because he is biologically more equipped to deal with that than a woman. That is a boundary, that is a line that no woman can cross, unfortunately. You can give me all your social constructs all you want, but men are biologically stronger, they can produce more outward force and more power. No, you could point out an outlier. You could say, well, some women are stronger than men. I mean, that man is in a vegetated state, so what happens then? Again, an outlier. What women often bring at their best. At their best, women tend to specialize in early nurturing, emotional attunement, environmental stability, social and relational intelligence. They orient towards development and connection. Another example of this is when a woman has a baby. The body will naturally produce a hormone that intunes the woman to give unconditional love to her offspring. A man does not produce the same hormone. You see, when roles are unclear, negotiation never stops. And when negotiation never stops, children feel uncertain. Clear responsibility creates psychological safety. When I was young, I didn't want my dad to be soft or unsure. I wanted him to be strong, predictable, and capable, because that made the world feel stable. And that, my friends, is not some sort of social construct I was forced onto at the age of 4 or 5. My biological system, for some reason I can't explain, wanted my father of the house to be the strong one. I wanted to view him in a certain way. Today, many people are suspicious of roles because they fear limitation. That is perfectly acceptable. But removing structure doesn't remove responsibility. It just makes it unclear who carries it. The goal isn't to trap people. It's to create families where everyone knows what they're responsible for. And children thrive in clarity.